Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Dugout Football Channel. It is another opposition match preview, and this time Liverpool's travel to Selhurst Park to take on Crystal Palace. And it is a 12:30 game, and the last game before the international break. Yay, international breaks. Yeah, trust me. When you're a Scotsman, breaks are a completely different thing. Anyway, but I've been joined by two fabulous guests. We have Steve, as you can see, Ezzy Boiling Piss on Twitter. How are you, Steve? It's good to have you back, my friend.
Yes. It's always an honour to join your channel and help you out because obviously being a Liverpool fan and Scottish and all these things that go against you, you do need the help, and I'm more than willing to give that to you, mate. Honestly.
No, it's a pleasure to have you back on, and it has been a while. It has been a while, I must say. And so I'm able to also been by Ali from Pride of South London Fan TV. How are you, Ali?
Yeah, all good really. Apart from Palace, everything's good.
Yes, we will get into it as well. And guys, if you are watching on playback, please do let us know your thoughts about the head of the game, and please remember to hit the like button. Please remember to hit that subscribe button. Also follow Steve on Twitter, and also follow Ali on his YouTube channel as well. But yes, Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Steve, 12:30 game again between the sides. How are you feeling going into this one?
Not confident. We're creating chances. We're playing okay in patches, but we just cannot finish for some reason. I don't know whether it's the fact that Elise left. I don't know whether it's the fact that the players just don't feel confident. I don't think it really helped. Me and Ali have had this conversation on our own WhatsApp chat about various things. I don't think it helped us massively with everyone being announced and part of the squad literally with 1 or 2 days left of the window. And, you know, when the window started and we signed Riyadh and we signed Kamada, it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh, hang on, we're starting a little bit early here. This is unlike us. And then it kind of stopped and nothing at all happened. And I don't know whether we were trying to be tight with what we bid. I don't know whether we were trying to be a bit clever with what we put in and for players and stuff. And there's players that we've all sat there in our own WhatsApp groups and said, why the hell are we not in for Nusa? Why the hell are we not in for a Skrilla? Why the hell are we not in for Sule? Those sort of players that potential just like Elise to do exactly the same thing. But I mean, admittedly, a few of them haven't performed in their new clubs. But there's a big reluctance from Palace to spend a certain amount and above on a player. And I think that's just hurting us. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, Ali, are you surprised about your slow start to the season?
I never thought it would be kind of pick up from where we left off. So at the start of the season, I think I said on social media, I think it'd be naive for us really to pick up on the 3 points again or lay mode we were in, because the fact is, if you lose someone of Elise's quality, which we're seeing at Bayern Munich right now, it's going to have an impact. Whatever side of the argument you fall on Joachim Andersen, whether it was the right thing or not, he was such a big part of how he played. Like passing out from the back came through him. If a player got in trouble in the midfield, they'd always pass back to him because they knew they could retain possession. So our whole style of play, we've had to adapt. So it's going to take time. And Glasner said that himself. I didn't think we'd find ourselves in the relegation zone. That defeat at Everton, I think, is like tilted the fan base to beyond the line to like, well, hang on, we actually really need to sort this out, because actually, traditionally Glasner's team starts slow, but how long is that going to wash for? You know, in the Premier League's brutal. But I'm pretty calm. Like I'm not massively panicking. But I think the problem, going back to what Steve said as well, one of our biggest issues is in terms of Elise going, which you're never going to replace him. There were a few names, and I wonder if we missed out on a target. We've ended up trying to shoehorn Nketiah into this right-sided 10 role when he's a forward. So So we're not very fluid in that sense. Where I think we could get fluid and quite exciting again is every time he's come on, Ismaila Sarr's looked really good. And I know he had a knock on his ankle before Everton. I don't know whether that stopped him starting. I think for the Liverpool game, Glasner's got to get bold and drop Mateta. And I know what Steve thinks about this. I'd drop Mateta and I would play Nketiah and Sarr and just let them both transition between up front and the right. And I think that could work well against Liverpool because Van Dijk's obviously pace is going. And then obviously the fullbacks leave space in behind. And he needs to just adapt now. And he needs to show some cojones, I think. And that would be a starting point, is to drop Mateta. And then this weird thing of putting Kamada in the 8, where he's just, to me, I quite like Kamada. I think he's a clever player, but I think he's being hung out to be scapegoated at the moment by putting him in the 8. And you could see it from that first Everton goal that, he gave it away. But the biggest problem with it was no one closed McNeil down. If you've got Jefferson Lerma there, I think he closes that down. But, we had a few injuries as well. Richards was out. So maybe if Richards was fit, Lerma would have played in midfield. I don't know. I think the selection, Steve, would you agree? Like, if we walk in on Saturday and it looks like Kamada is in the 8 again, a lot of people are going to feel like walking out.
I think the biggest issue is relationships are relationships in football, and you trust what you trust, and I get that. However, trying to shoehorn people into positions that they should be nowhere near is just futile. It's just pointless. It doesn't get you anywhere. And I see what you're saying about Kamada Ali, but to contradict that, the guy can't even make a 5-yard pass to one of his own players. And I don't trust him. I don't believe that he's able to create anything, because he's not. He's just giving the ball away every time, and he's putting us under extreme pressure on numerous occasions. Granted, Glasner's the one for me. He's a quality manager, but he has made some strange sort of lineups and decisions, and that substitution on Saturday when he pulled off Nketiah, who was the best player for us, in the 60th minute for Schlipp. I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Honestly, for me personally, the squad that we've got, the players that we've bought, we should be playing 4-4-2, and we should have Sarr. We should have Sarr on the right, and realistically, I wouldn't even be I wouldn't even be starting Kamada. I'd have Nketiah and Mateta up front with Eze just behind.
Yeah.
And I would promote Ume, because the kid has got pace in abundance. And we've seen from Palace sides in the past, when you've got two wingers with pace, knocking the balls in, crossing it in, creating the service, we score goals. What we're seeing at the moment is a very negative style of play, where we're going across the pitch, we're going back, we're knocking it up to Muniz, it comes back, we then cross the pitch, then we knock it up to Mitchell, it comes back. There's literally no kind of forward passage in the game for us. And
it's very narrow, isn't it?
And we spend all that time wasting that time just passing it to each other. Oh, yeah, we've had great possession levels, but it hasn't actually produced anything. And no one seems to want to put the foot through the ball when they're in a position where they're near the goal. It's like, even if you toe punted the bloody thing and it came off someone and went in, who cares?
Yeah, I agree. It's very narrow, and the best Palace sides have always been built on width. And obviously, you take Elise out, but we've tried, as we said, shoehorn it with a replacement in it, like trying to do Nketiah as like an inside forward. I mean, the other thing I'd say, Steve, is I think we need more from Eze. I think
Eze's been horrendously poor. Yeah. Either he misses Elise, or
definitely misses Elise.
It's almost as if he's turned into Wilfried Zaha Mark II, and he wants to be the hero. He wants to do everything. He's taking the corners. He's taking the free kicks. And there's been so many times where we've got free kicks on the left-hand side or the right-hand side facing that way, where Wharton, if he took it, could have a better opportunity. And he's just tried to be that hero, and he's getting in on goal. Don't get me wrong, we're creating lots of opportunities, but we just aren't finishing any of them. And Eze has been the culprit of a huge amount of those chances.
The chance against United, he should have put that one away, and we would have won that game. It was interesting against United. I think when Ismaila Sarr came on, they came alive again. It was like he got someone to play with again. Like he had with Elise and Viabov.
I
What I've
think
heard on,
I think
Ismaila Sarr though,
it's been a big mistake not starting Sarr in games. Yeah, granted, arguably he could have had a slight knock and that could have affected it, but he's got pace and he's causing problems. But
what I've heard on him is I watched one of Ben Foster's podcasts, and he was talking about Ismaila Sarr, and he said that he's terrible in training, but then he's like a world beater on a Saturday. And I just think Glasner puts a lot into training. That I think if you're not training right, I could see Glasner like not picking someone based on that. But he just looks like a player that if you give him a bit of love and stuff, like he's going to come out for you and produce, and he feeds off the crowd. He won't cut in on his left foot in the way that Elise did, but he does get like down the right and get some crosses in. Like we just need something down that right hand side because Manos hasn't been as good either. I think he's tired because he was in the Copa America as well. He's come back tired. His international are ridiculous.
Do you think as well, like, because obviously, like, you've had players as well that have been like at the Olympics as well. Obviously, Mateta was at the Olympics. Do you think his slow start to the season is because of basically not having a pre-season, Steve?
No. What the reason why we are not seeing the Mateta that we saw is attitude and ego, and where he scored so many goals and he got called up for France, and all of a sudden it's like he's a world beater. Aston Villa had made an inquiry about him, were prepared to offer 40 million because they were going to lose Duran at that point. He seems to think he's this big shot all of a sudden. He wants basically a big pay rise and an extended contract to stay. And he's not making the effort. He's not. No one's pressing anyway, to be fair. And obviously he's not scoring any goals all of a sudden. Yeah, he's got a few goals in the League Cup, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, the attitude is all wrong with a lot of the players. There's a lot of complacency. And, don't get me wrong, we've lost a bit of identity in terms of the way we play. We sold Anderson, but Anderson wanted to be the top earner at the club, and he wanted a 5-year contract. He's 29 shortly, and he's been given a 6-year contract and 120 grand a week wage at Fulham. So if he nosedives significantly, like players do, they're stuck with him at that point. Fair enough. If that's what he wanted, I don't have an issue with that. And I don't have an issue with us losing RU because £8 million for a player we spent £2 million on and 33 years old makes sense. I don't have an issue with losing Elise because we could have lost Elise last summer window for half that amount that he went for.
Yeah.
And he signed a new contract for the club, and you have to respect that. Yes, the release clause, given how good he is still too low, in my opinion. But £53 million after we paid Reading their cut for a player that we spent £8 million on is superb from that side. It's just a shame that he didn't stay a little bit longer, because I thought that this season, if he'd stayed one more season, we might have been able to do something. Yeah. And a lot of people were suggesting that we could sort of challenge for Europe, but right now, on the form that we are, we've got absolutely no chance.
No, I think we're well.
I think as well, the players that you've you've sold as well. Like I look at Elise. I think you did really, really well to get the money you did for Elise, because yes, we all know about the Chelsea sort of deal that was in the pipeline, but I think what was very, very good about that is that there was a load of rumours about potentially him going to Chelsea. Then immediately about 48 hours later, it was like he signed a new contract, and it was like, okay, he's basically staying at Palace. He doesn't want to go to Chelsea. And I think as well, we're now seeing the Elise that we were kind of seeing last season. He's doing really, really well in Germany. And I think that is very, very good to say the very least. I mean, Sam Johnston, I'll be honest, I think it's good to see him getting a number one spot as well. I think as well with Sam Johnston, though, as well, there were times that I thought that, Dean Henderson seems to be now the coveted number one, wouldn't you say? And
No,
I think
he's
he was.
absolutely useless. He can't kick. He can't command the area. Doesn't catch the ball. He punches it every time, and that puts us under pressure. He was at fault for the second goal that Everton scored. He didn't even come for the ball when he could have easily just come for it and caught it. And his kicking and his distribution is absolutely appalling. Great shot stopper. And
Yeah.
all Premier League keepers have to be a good shot stopper. That is an absolute factor with any goalkeeper. But the guy just cannot kick. He gets the ball and he just kicks it without even looking where any of our players are. And he just gives it straight back to the opposing team. He's absolutely awful. I understand why Sam Johnson wanted to go. He was number one and he got ousted because I genuinely think there's a clause in Henderson's contract that he has to be number one. And the fact we spent 20 million on the guy, as classed as a marquee signing, he has to play. But for me, he's a terrible keeper. Great shot stopper, like I said, but everything else, don't cut it for me. And we made a massive mistake selling Johnson. Yeah, 10 million profit for a player we got on a free. That's great. But it renders the whole situation useless because it's just, like simple things like on Saturday in the first half, Muniz will sprint out to the right-hand side. He's free. He's in acres of space. And Henderson will just hold the ball. And like, what are you doing, mate? You're not even looking at anyone, what runs they're making, and where's best to send it. And it's very, very frustrating from my point of view, and especially the punching. It's just such a horrible trait that's come into the game, especially with the influx of foreign keepers and all the sort of homegrown keepers have just been copying suit, and it's just such a poor passage of play every time it happens.
Yeah. I personally don't think there's much between Johnston and Henderson. I think Johnston's the better all-round keeper. And Steve's alluded to those points with the kicking. I think Liverpool's kind of game where Henderson shines. Like his best games for me were Man City away and Liverpool away, where he pulls out those kind of saves that Steve talks about. The whole thing was just weird anyway, because we had a good number one keeper and then spent whatever money on Henderson. And you think about the areas we haven't been prepared to spend money on, as Steve was saying at the start of the podcast, we've not been prepared to put money into certain areas, but we put money into a position where we already had a really good number one keeper. So that whole situation was strange, but it had to come to a conclusion one way or the other with one of them going. And it always seemed like it was going to be Johnson. So,
well, the player you kept, Mark Guehi. Now I know that Newcastle were, getting ever and ever so closer towards that sort of that transfer target, but it didn't quite happen for them. But Steve, do you think Guehi's performances have been affected by the transfer speculation?
No, Guehi's been our best player so far. He hasn't set a foot wrong, in my opinion, so far, apart from one mistake, which he was punished for against Leicester. But the ball should never have come to Vardy in the first place because Wharton was at fault for the misplaced pass. So he's been exceptional. And at the end of the day, Newcastle, they wanted him, but the reality is they couldn't afford him. It doesn't matter what price it would have been. They Newcastle are skint because they're PSR'd up to the eyeballs, the FFP up to the eyeballs, and they went out and spunk £10 million on a striker from Sheffield United, who's rotting away in their under 21s. He scored one goal for them. So
did you have
at the end of the day, they simply can't afford him. And the reason why the Newcastle fan base have reacted the way that they have is because we're Newcastle, we get what we want, is their attitude now. They're very arrogant all of a sudden, and it don't work like that.
Did you have a fun summer winding them up though, Steve?
Oh, hugely fun. But at the end of the day, it's no different, guys. If Liverpool came in for Gordon, or they came in for Isaac, or they came in for Bruno, or they came in for Botman, that player is worth what a player is worth to that club. It's as simple as that. And yes, he's only got 2 years left on his contract. Not a problem. Chances are he might sign a new contract with us, probably still leave next summer. but
Mm.
for a bigger club. And I generally think he ends up at either Arsenal or Liverpool next season, because Liverpool need to replace Van Dijk, and he's probably going to leave anyway. And Arsenal need that strength in depth. So, and Man City as well could do with him. So we'll see. I don't see him going to Newcastle at all. Plus the fact they're skint anyway, and I find that hilarious given the fact they're owned by a state.
Yeah.
I was very, very happy when I saw he was staying, because I think when you lost Anderson, I was like, "There's no chance you lose both. There was no chance you were going to lose both Guehi or Anderson. It was either basically
himself in the corner on that, because he said in an interview on Sky that he doesn't see a situation where we'd lose both. So if he'd sold both, he would have got so much stick. Like,
yeah.
So I don't think he was ever going to do that.
Score between Bournemouth and Southampton. What do you think it is?
I know that Semenyo has just scored. Something's popped up on my WhatsApp.
It's 3-0 to Bournemouth.
That's good for us because it keeps Southampton down there. But that's how depressing it is as a Palace fan right now. It's just hoping there's 3 teams worse than us again. It's just not where I thought it would be.
I think you will come out of this rut. I've always said as well that there are definitely 3 or 4 worser teams down there. Like your Evertons. I probably expect Southampton to be down there. Leicester, I expect to be down there as well. I think Ipswich got their point against Aston Villa. They are starting to get a few good points here and there as well. I just think you just need that one result that sort of kickstarts your season, and I think you'll be absolutely fine, because I know we've been speaking obviously about Ismaila Sarr. Ismaila Sarr actually has a very good record against Liverpool. He always seems to score against us. So if that is an indication of what would take a good result, then I would say that probably Ismaila Sarr is probably a must starter for Palace this weekend.
Well, beating you last season sort of kickstarted our little run. So
yeah,
it could be the game to. But I think we need a bit of time to. This is the thing with these international breaks, is we need some solid time on the training ground to sort ourselves out, really, and sort out what our shape's going to be, and the players to get used to playing with each other. And like another international break is just a killer. You're going to have Manos going off with Colombia, Lerma going off with Colombia, Sarr going off with Senegal, and they're all going to come back absolutely knackered again. It's the worst case scenario for us. Like,
I think the focus needs to be on different areas, Ali. It needs to be on set plays. It needs to be on shooting. It needs to be on free kicks. It needs to be, I'm of a mindset that when you get a corner, when you get a free kick, it's absolutely inexcusable if you don't put the team that you're playing against under pressure. It's inexcusable and unacceptable if you take a free kick and you don't at least make the keeper work and have to make a save. And if you're a professional footballer and you can't beat the wall and you can't get a ball over the wall, there's some serious questions you need to be asking yourself. And equally up front, Mateta, the amount of times that guy is offside, it is completely unacceptable. As a professional footballer, look along the line. As a professional footballer, should be nowhere near being offside. I find it absolutely pointless. And just simple things like that need to be worked on.
And we find that we're nowhere near the intensity that we were in that run. And that intensity was unbelievable. Like, I remember home games against West Ham and Newcastle where their players were just looking around to each other like, what's going on here? Like, that's dipped completely. Yeah, look, I mean, I love Mateta. I'm wearing a Mateta t-shirt right now, but is he that good a footballer? Like, I hate to say it, but did he just? I
think he is. I think his mindset and his attitude is superseded.
And to be fair to him, he isn't getting anywhere near the service he was getting. He was getting Elise balls in, Elise through balls. Like, and we are a team right now without fluidity, without any recognisable style. So he isn't getting he's a player who needs good service, and he's not getting that right now.
Yeah, and I can tell from both of you, obviously, like feeling at this moment in time that you should probably have more points on the board, because I was looking at your results earlier, and Manchester United, I know that they had the lion's share of the possession, but they never really had any sort of clear cut chance. I know they had a crossbar, I know they had the post as well, but you had the best chance of the game with Eze. If that goes in, it's a completely different game. I think the Lissandro Martinez should have been sent off. I keep we obviously know about my Premier League podcast, Ali, and I've been saying for a number of weeks now, and we're obviously seeing it with Manchester United now, is that they've got big problems. If you had beaten them, I actually think Ten Hag might be out the door maybe sooner rather than later, because I think the way that
if we did beat them, then we could have finished them off. But I think this is the thing. It's a crucial moment in Eze's career now. Is the best players are ruthless, and they make a difference in the big games, and he's not doing that. I mean, I could look back to last season. There are a few games where he missed. Brighton at home, which is a massive game for us. I remember he missed this chance that would have put us to 2-0 and killed the game. That's the next step in his development. If he wants to go to a top club, he needs to find that ruthlessness in him. And I can't. There was that one period. There's only one period where I thought maybe towards the end of last season when he was vibing off Elise. The other period was when Roy Hodgson came back for that short period towards the end of the season where it went well. And every time he got the ball, he just thought Elise was going to score. But that feeling hasn't been there for a while, particularly this season. And he's off the back of the Euros being with England, and there were certain England players, like I remember Saka saying that Eze was the player who impressed him most in training. And maybe there's a bit of that with him. Maybe he's disappointed he didn't get the move, because Parish was talking in the press how he was shocked that no one came in for Eze. So maybe he's a little bit disappointed with that. So it's a little bit like with Mateta going on. There's a little bit of sulking they didn't get the moves they wanted. But if he wants to be that top player, he has to be ruthless, like Elise is being at Bayern Munich right now. He has to take those kind of chances and make those difference in those big games, and he's just not doing it at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll obviously go into the game now. It's a really, really interesting one. I was looking at the sort of the head-to-heads, and we've had 2 wins, 2 draws, and you've had that obviously solitary win at Anfield as well. Obviously, last season you beat us at Anfield, we beat you at Selhurst as well. Steve, if there's ever a game to get up for this, especially with the run that you guys are on, 12:30, it's going to be a packed Selhurst. Is this the best time to play Liverpool?
Yes and no, possibly. Yes, possibly no. It swings both ways. I mean, I'm not worried about anyone in your team particularly. I don't see a threat from anyone other than Salah, who loves scoring against us. If you start Núñez, then I've got every confidence that we do something and get something out of the game, because I have to be honest, mate. It's the biggest waste of money any club spent on one particular player. He's got the attributes, but he can't finish. He's horrendous. I know he scored a great goal against Bournemouth. But Núñez is basically the South American equivalent to Watkins. They have to have 1,000 shots to score a goal. They absolutely waste so many opportunities. And I know Villa fans rate Watkins, but I think Watkins is a terrible player. Yes, he scored loads of goals. Yes, he's got loads of assists, but you are going to have that when you've got the players that you're playing around, and your club spent £500 million on players in 3 seasons. But Núñez, if I was a Liverpool fan, I mean, it's no different to the way me and Ali and the fan base feel about Mateta at the moment. He's not cutting it. He's not making the effort. But it's just, I know the work rate's there with Núñez, but crikey, he's absolutely woeful. I mean, I don't know how.
We obviously spoke about like the offsides as well. Núñez loves being offside. I don't
I
know.
don't know how a player can do that, and also I don't know how a player can hit the post so many times when it's easier to put the ball in the net. It's mental. But I think the 12:30 kickoff might help us a little bit, maybe not. I don't know, but I'm like Ali at the moment. I really fear for the fact of how we're playing. There isn't any confidence. There's no tempo. There's no sort of desire to get forward when you get the ball. And it's all this bollocks of going across. You ain't going to win games like that. You might have big possession stats, but it doesn't win you games. And twice against Everton in the first half, Eze, he was through on goal and it was easy to put the ball in the net and he just p-rolled it to Pickford. So it was a very disappointing trip up to Liverpool last weekend, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, Ali, last season's game, I kind of look back at that, and I thought we were very, very fortunate to win that game. I thought you were, I thought you were worthy of a point. Obviously, I know we won it very late on with Harvey Elliott, but I had a feeling in that game where, yeah, we might have got away with one because obviously the disallowed goal that you had as well, Endo, he wasn't fouled. That goal should have stood. So,
you've
you
always
come
get
away.
some sort of decision against us. What was the one a few years ago where like your player ran into our goalie and you got a penalty out of it? Do you remember that?
Jota.
Yeah, you always get you'll get something on Saturday. Yeah,
I love Jota, but my God, Doug, he's such a bad diver. He's such a cheat, mate. Honestly, that penalty that he got, he threw himself into Gator. Like,
yeah, that was the one. Yeah,
God.
that was
never a penalty.
To be fair, the ref given that. Yeah, the home game, Doug. I'd rather talk about the away game. The away game was really fun when we finished off club. Yeah.
I said back in that day that you guys deserve to win at Anfield. I was very impressed with the way you played, and obviously that Glasner just came in at that point as well.
Who had a really good game that day was Joachim Andersen. Was quite epic at the back that day. But,
the funny thing, Ali, is after that game when we beat them last season, I messaged Doug. I think it was like 17 times saying, "Can we do a follow-up show?" And when I tried messaging him, it came back as "You're unable to message this person." So he was fuming, mate. I've never seen the man so angry.
True story, right? I was actually meant to be going to that game. Now, I managed to get a ticket. I managed to get a ticket to go to the game at Anfield against Palace. Unfortunately, it was the weekend of the train strikes, and I was like,
Ali, that's not true. Basically, what happened is he bought the ticket and his missus found out and threatened him with divorce, so he had no choice but to stay at home.
Oh no!
No, it was the train strikes.
I'm in a WhatsApp group because I do a fantasy football league with my friend who's from Liverpool fan, full of scouts. I got kicked out of the group that weekend. It's just like trolling it. But well, that was good. That was like the height of that was what when Glasner Ball really imploded. But we seem a million miles away from that. So I think it'll be a very different game. And a very different game to the one you're alluding to, the home tie, because we had Roy Hodgson, Steve's favourite ever Palace manager, in charge then. So,
of
course, yeah.
Yeah. I've actually been on a boat.
Apparently, I've heard, Ali, that Slot's under pressure because the results haven't been like full points. So he was tasked with winning every game, and apparently Hodgson's favourite to take over.
That would be great, mate. I mean, about the game, I don't know. I think that you will win 2-1. Maybe I've skipped predictions here, but I think you'll win. But it's kind of a weird one. You've got a great points tally, but I don't think you're currently in great form. You obviously had the defeat to Forest a few weeks ago. I don't think you were particularly great against Wolves, who were really struggling. So I think the game's there for us. I think we will have a good one of the halves will be good. It's whether we can put it together over 90 minutes, which has been our problem. We had a good second half at Chelsea where we got a point. We had a good second half against United where we got a point. We came back in it against Leicester, but we have to put it over 90 minutes. And he's got some selections, I think, as well, where you're saying about the atmosphere. There will be certain selections that he makes that could kill the atmosphere. So he puts Kamada in the 8 again. Because I can feel like you can feel it on social media against Kamada. I can feel it around me. Like I can hear certain people getting on top of him. Like one sloppy pass from him, the frustration will start. Like if he picks like a team that I think the fans will get behind, I think it will be that Sellers Park atmosphere. I think if he puts Kamada in the 8 and he starts with some sloppy passes, I think it'd be a bit flat, if I'm honest. So yeah, I mean, I think Glasner's selections will be key. I'd love it if he stuck Sarr and Nketiah in the team, and that would get everyone on their feet. And I think we need to come out the blocks. That's been the problem. We've not come out the blocks like we did in that run. Like come out. Chelsea first half was awful. I was there away. United first half, to be honest, was diabolical, wasn't it, Steve? Like we were terrible. Like how we got a draw from that game. They should have killed us off. Like, I mean, that Tottenham result doesn't really surprise me.
They could have killed us off, but that's a prime example of where we're struggling. So we've had over 130 shots in the 5 games that we've played so far, and we've scored 3 goals. That's the key stat that you have to concentrate on. And the amount of times we've hit the crossbar, we've hit the post, and we've not even made the keeper work from fantastic positions. It's just criminal. It really is. And I just don't know. It's easier. Like against Everton, Eze was through. He's in the middle of the goal, left or right hand side. Either one of them is a goal, and he just literally just basically side footed it straight to Pickford. And like, mate, what are you doing? Just put your foot through the ball, toe punt it if you have to. Who cares? And the conviction isn't there. The tempo's not there. And when we do go forward, when we actually get our act together, it's only purely because of Sarr and Nketiah.
Yeah. I think as well when I watch your games, also I watched the Manchester United game. I did watch the little bit of the Chelsea game, as well, and it is just that clinical finishing that you need. I think, as you just said, Steve, 130 shots over 5 games is absolutely mental, and only three goals scored, but. I look back at that Everton game. You should have had a penalty.
I
have absolutely no idea how that wasn't given. Look, I'll be honest. I think refereeing in this country is absolutely awful. I think it really, really is. I think it's got worse and worse and worse.
Do you know what? It's a great point. And every year I sort of sit there thinking to myself, pre-season, and you sort of have your pre-season games and stuff. And it gets to the end of the season. The previous season, I sit there thinking, genuinely don't believe for 1 second that the refereeing performance and standards and ability can deteriorate any further. Yet every single season, without fail, it does. It's incredible how poor they are. And like, there's definitely some big club bias in there, Doug, all day long, in my opinion, with some of the decisions. But the most frightening aspect is the consistency. Someone handballs it and the hands out, it's a penalty. The following week, someone does exactly the same thing and it's not a penalty. It's like, how can that be a penalty and that not be a penalty? And like in our jobs, if we did something wrong, there'd be a review. There'll be like a process where you'd be on a performance improvement plan. You'd go through what they believe you've done wrong and what steps you've then got to put in place to, improve that. Whereas their punishment is dropped into the Championship for 1 weekend, and then the following weekend they're back in, and they haven't even learned anything from what they've done. And no one's saying to them, this is what you should have done, and they continue to do what they want. And the worst part is the off-field aspect, the VAR side. They're back in the referees every week, so there's never going to be any improvement, in my opinion, unless we do one thing and we say, right, let's bring the European referees in and let them referee our games, because they're a whole lot better.
They are.
Yeah. I think they use the technology better as well.
What was the score when we had that penalty shout at Everton? Does anybody know?
We were 2-1 down.
We were 2-1 down.
2-1 down. Well, so we'd have been 2-0 and got us a point. So it would be out of the relegation zone at least.
I think you're absolutely spot on, Steve. Especially with the way that the refereeing this season has been really bad. Like, you look at the game, you look at the Manchester United Tottenham game, how Fernandes was sent off. Like, that to me, I think that was a very, very harsh red card. He slipped, and then yes, he's gone for his foot into Maddison, but that is never a red card. We've obviously had the kicking the ball away situation. Szoboszlai was lucky. Oh, I'll be honest. I think Szoboszlai was very, very lucky to not be sent off against Forest. Michael Oliver was refereeing then, and obviously he sent off, Trossard. Obviously, Chris Kavanagh sent off Declan Rice the following week. But it's just the consistency. We just want the consistency, don't we?
I think it depends on the team as well. Like, if you take the incident with Martinez and what he did against us, where he jumped in 2-footed.
That's another one, yeah.
I can guarantee you, I swear on my daughter's life, I can guarantee you 100% that if a Palace player did that at Old Trafford, they are sent off. No questions asked. They are sent off. But because it was Manchester United, we have to protect the big clubs. We have to not give anything that's contentious. And they're just too scared to do it. And all day long, that was a red. Yes, he didn't touch the player, but the intent was there. And it's dangerous play. If he did touch the player, I'm telling you now, we're contending with a broken leg all day long.
Common sense has just gone, though, hasn't it? It's like the people who make the rules, every year there's a new rule. So this year we're going to clamp down on kicking the ball away. So it just becomes robotic. And, it's like that Declan Rice one. That, once you got that momentum, it's really hard not to kick a ball. It's just ridiculous. I mean, to be honest with you, even that Everton one, to be honest with you, he wins the ball, but by the letters of the law, it is a penalty. The Fernandes one is classic, no common sense. By the letter of the law, he should go. But anyone who's watching that would go, oh, he slipped. It's a bit unlucky. That's a yellow card. Give him a warning. One more and you're off. But that kind of common sense refereeing is long gone because they're all playing by the law, by these rules. And if they don't play them, they're called up on video VAR.
The biggest issue, Ali, is it's a boys' brigade. It's like it's a gentleman's club. They all stick with each other. They all back each other, and they don't go against each other because they don't want to be seen to be that person who does that. And at the end of the day, realistically, we've got the best league in the world with the worst officials in the world. Yeah. It's absolutely shocking. And
I guarantee there'll be some sort of decision on Saturday that goes in Liverpool's favour. I'm calling it now.
I'm not even, to be honest with you guys, I've not even checked who the referee is. I've not even checked, but that will be very, very interesting to see what will happen. So, where do you guys think the game can be won and lost at the weekend? Do you think the midfield battle could be key, Steve?
I think the only way that we can win that game is if we suddenly have some kind of transplant in our mentality across every single player. And when we do get the ball, we actually break with tempo and we really push forwards as a team and fill the box and create opportunities. If we play, I can tell you now, if we play exactly the same way that we played in the 6 games today, we're going to get overrun 100%, because all we're doing is we're sitting back in the hope that we can counter. But even when we got that opportunity to counter, we're not even countering. So it's like you just can't win games that way. And I generally don't understand the huge gulf in difference between the way we were playing in the last 14 games of last season to where we're at now. It can't just be because we've lost one player. I mean, it's like you've got pace there, so use it.
Yeah. Ali, your thoughts?
I think if we start with Nketiah and Sarr, I think that could bring back the intensity that we had under Glasgow at the end of last season. And I think that could be a way we could win the game, because I think obviously Van Dijk, great player, but is lacking a bit in pace now. I think your fullbacks push on, so it will leave space in behind.
Yeah.
I think Sarr is someone who'll get right, give us that width, put a ball in the box for Mateta if he plays as well. also, it would give Manos someone to feed off, because Manos just looks isolated out on that right-hand side at times. So if I see Ismaila Sarr and Nketiah both on the team sheet, then I'll be excited. I think the midfield is where we could lose the game, because if we look, sometimes you could talk about tactic stuff. Sometimes it was common sense. If you're going to put Walton and Kamada together, there's an imbalance there. Like neither one of them is the ball winner. If you're making Walton the ball winner, you're losing a little bit of the best part of his game, which is getting on the ball and making things happen and dictating possession, which we need more than ever as we transition from Anderson to a new look team. I mean, it'd be interesting if Chalobah plays, because he hasn't played yet and he's coming back from injury. So that could be interesting. You could put him in defence and push Lerma in midfield alongside Wharton, is what I think most Palace fans see as common sense. Bring Chalobah in, move Lerma into central midfield alongside Wharton, bring Ismaila Sarr in for someone. That's what I think Palace fans want. I don't know. It's a big team selection, because is he going to be stubborn? Because if he's stubborn and the same thing happens again, I think he will start to lose goodwill, even though we all know he's a great manager and what he can do, and he's got background pedigree of winning the Europa League and stuff with Frankfurt. But if he plays the same team again and the same mistakes happen, I think the fan base could start turning a little.
Yeah, fresh ideas are needed. Like, I'll be honest, I think this game is going to be won by the midfields. I think, you look at us. I think the difference I've seen with obviously Slot and Klopp's teams is that we seem to be building more from the midfield. With Klopp, it was usually out to sort of the wings and see what like Salah or Diaz could possibly do. But I think you're seeing this season that I think we're now building more play up from the midfield. Obviously, Gravenberch, I think he's been fantastic. McAllister is a very, very good player. I think the only question mark in our midfield at the moment is Szoboszlai, not really doing the numbers at the moment. And then you've obviously got Diaz, who's firing on all cylinders at the moment. He's having a fabulous season. Salah, he's still Mr. Mo, still seems to be scoring and assisting, which is the main thing. And I think as well defensively we've kind of toughened up at the back, because I think that the problem is with us at the moment is that we're not starting games very well. So I think if you exploit us in the first few minutes, then that's our game plan completely gone out the way, because we don't seem to start games very, very well. And this was a big factor into Klopp teams last season. We were very, very poor at that. So I think as well, when you're looking at this game as well, if you get an early goal, you need to capitalise, because I think I said it to a Forest fan the other day that Liverpool do give you chances and you need to take them. And I think as well with you guys, bad finishing at the moment, I think if you get chances, you definitely have to take them. So I think it's going to be a very, very intriguing battle. Looking forward to the game, obviously on Saturday, and we shall see what happens. So comes to the time now of team selections. So Steve, what would you go with on Saturday?
Well, it's going to be Henderson. He's obviously the first choice. Unfortunately, it'll be Muniz, Mitchell, Lacroix, Gay, possibly Richards if he's back, because we seem to be obsessed with 5 across the back. It will be probably Lerma and Wharton. And I'm going to go with what I hope it happens, same as Ali, with Nketiah and Sarr and Eze just behind the two. Ali,
would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think Chalobah might come in. He had an injury, but he could come in rather than Richards. One of those could come in and then push Lerma into midfield. I think he'll keep the same system. It'd be a big decision to drop Mateta, but I just think this game would be made for Nketiah and Sarr. As I said, with Van Dijk's lack of pace and getting beyond your fullbacks when they're attacking. I don't think we can go in against Liverpool with that midfield pairing of Wharton and Kamada, I think it will be game over if we do. I mean, the other thing he could do is go 4-2-2-2, which he did against Leicester at one point, which looks good. So you could have a base of like Wharton and Lerma. I actually thought Kamada looked quite good in that when you had Kamada on the right and Eze on the left, and then have two forwards.
I didn't.
You didn't.
I've not felt that Kamada's been good in any game, even pre-season. It's been awful.
I mean, it looked good against Crawley, but everyone looked good against Crawley, apart from Anderson, who fell over a ball. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, a 4-2-2-2 work. Some fans are arguing suits us more now. So it's whether this system actually suits us anymore. But I don't think I would bury the system until I've seen Sarr in it, because I think Sarr and Nketiah could be transitional. But
yeah, we need to be adaptive though in our approach, that's for sure. But the irony with Lacroix against the argument with Anderson, and I know Fulham, there's quite a number of Fulham accounts that are being a bit virginal with their tweets at the moment, which is quite cringy. But the argument really that goes massively against letting Anderson go is Lacroix's stats, his ball winning percentages, the tackles he's making, and cutting out play and stuff like that are actually better than Anderson. So it looks as if we've got a player there, that's for sure. And he played brilliantly against Everton. He was man of the match from that side. But yeah,
I think it's too early for either side of the argument and Anderson to say "told you so," because you need to give the defence really a proper time to embed. My only kind of worry with it, Steve, is by the time they embed, Gay is probably going to go, and Shalova is on loan. So it'll be another, if he comes in and does well, it'll be another Conor Gallagher situation. You're just left with Lacroix and Rick.
Yeah, I generally think with Chalobah, I generally think we actually end up signing him.
I hope
Chelsea don't want him. Chelsea don't want him. Gay will go, Wharton will go, and Eze will go next summer, and we'll get huge money for all three. The key will be bringing people in, but bringing them in early, I think.
Yeah.
I think, Chalobah was a very interesting one. I think he's completely lost his place in the Chelsea team, and I was happy when you got him as well, because I think when you look at the defenders that are out there, it's quite funny that Ben Chilwell's actually stayed behind.
I think he'll come in. I honestly think if he's fit enough, I think he comes in on Saturday. So I think Chelsea will loan him to us probably with a provision they plays, and we need to build some goodwill back there, given we lost it a bit when we wouldn't sell them Elise. But like,
how do you feel, Doug, about your
push Lerma forward?
Sorry?
I reckon, Steve, he'll come in and they'll push. Hopefully, what we all hope is he pushes Lerma into centre field and drops Kamada.
Yeah, Kamada shouldn't be anywhere near the side, especially with the form that he's had. But I was about to say, Doug, how do you feel as a fan of your club when Newcastle, who are skint, actually signed more players than Liverpool did?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a great win from us by any stretch of the imagination. I think getting Chiesa was a very sensible deal, for the money that was being offered, 10.5 million. It's a no-brainer, and he started pretty well. I know he's only had one game at the moment, but obviously the Champions League and obviously League Cup to come in, he will get game time, and so he could potentially be a surprise star in the weekend. Obviously depends on how he does against Bologna as well, because I think there will be changes in the Bologna game. I think there will be changes made, but I think the way I think we'll line up on Saturday, I think Alisson in goal. I honestly can't see many changes. I think it'll be Alexander-Arnold right back, Robertson left back, who there's been a few question marks over recently. I think he's not been quite at it this season as well. Alexander-Arnold, I think he's still Real Madrid on his head and his mind. So he was very, very lucky not to be sent off against Wolves, I've got to be honest. Stupid challenge, and then obviously kicks the ball away. So he obviously got booked for the kicking the ball away as well. But it'll be Kanate and it'll be Van Dijk. Then I think it'll be Gravenberch, McAllister. Now, this is where I think there may be a change. I may say Szoboszlai maybe going to the bench, and I think it'll be Curtis Jones. I'm absolutely gutted we don't have RB Elliott, because obviously he did score in the fixture last season. And I think he's a bit of a game changer as well when he comes off the bench. And I've not quite got that at the moment. I know we've got obviously Gakpo to come on. Nunes, there's a few question marks over his fitness at the moment. He was obviously ill against Wolves, so obviously missed that game. Not sure if he's going to play in Bologna as well. So it'll be Diaz, Salah, and I think it will be Jota. And then obviously coming off the bench, you've obviously got Kelleher, Kwanzaa, Tsimikas, obviously Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Nunes, if he's obviously fit, Chiesa, Bradley. So there's some very, very good, situations or good options to come off the bench. It's the only thing that really worries me is that if we do get an injury to a midfielder, then it's sort of going down to sort of the bare bones again. And that's kind of the thing that I think we'll be looking at in January. I think left back we'll be looking at in January as well. I think Tsimikas, a lot of people have been saying no, he's not good enough. I think left back is definitely a position we need to strengthen, because I think Robbo's getting on a wee bit. And
Tsimikas isn't good enough. Robertson's legs have gone, mate. He's on a downward spiral.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think when you look at what he's been doing, one of the best left backs to play for Liverpool in my lifetime.
He's Scottish, mate. He's never cut it for me. He's not good enough.
But no. Well, we can't finish off a preview without score predictions. So, Steve, what are you going for?
I think we lose, and it will be 3-1.
3-1. Ali?
I think we'll lose 2-1.
2-1.
I think Kamada will score for us.
Oh, wow.
Or Schlupp.
Yeah, As I said, I think you need to take advantage of our slow starts, because we always have a slow start at the moment. Against Wolves, that we were very lucky to win against Wolves. I think we played well in that game at all. Bournemouth, we could have been 1-0 down after about 4 minutes. And yeah, it's just those slow starts that you need to sort of capitalise.
Both sides have been starting slow then, so that will be interesting, because one of us is
could potentially be a goalless halftime potentially. So then again, it could be 1-0 Palace at halftime, like last season. I'm going to go the same as Steve. I think you score, but I think we will pick you off at points. I think you might tire towards the end of the game, and I think we'll pick you off. So I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool as well. But it should be a fantastic occasion on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, guys, thank you very much for coming on. It's a pleasure to obviously chat Palace Liverpool again. And Steve, thank you very much for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you.
No, you're welcome, mate, and it's a pleasure. And if we do beat you, don't be childish like you did last time and block me. It's for a man of your age, you're married with a kid, mate. You honestly, you need to grow up. Doug. It's not a good look.
I thought you'd be used to people blocking you, mate.
That is slander, Ali. How dare you?
I only block people who abuse me, and I can safely say I don't block anyone for banter or anything like that. So I won't do that. I promise you. Ali, thank you very much for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, limping my way to 1K. I think I'm 105 off now.
I'm glad you said limping.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, limping is the word. Yeah, I occasionally put the videos out with a gnome and waffle on about football.
I'm sure you'll get there very soon.
We'll get there. We just go on the long route. Yeah, the scenic route.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but
No,
no,
it's been
I'll probably do a review after the. I'll do a review after the game, and might have a few crowd shots and stuff. But yeah, Pride of South London Fan TV.
yeah,
The one.
get Ali to 1K as soon as possible, and then go and follow Steve on Twitter as well. And guys, if you have obviously enjoyed this stream, please do remember to leave a like on the video. It's much appreciated. It does help the algorithm, helps more people to watch these videos as well. Please do hit that subscribe button as well. Again, ever so close to 3K as well. So yeah, fingers crossed we get there very, very soon. But from myself, from Steve and Ali, we will see you very, very soon. Let us know your score predictions for the game. Let us know your starting 11s as well, and let us know your thoughts ahead of the very, very interesting game. And yes, we do have an international break as well. So yeah, enjoy. But from the three of us, goodbye, and we'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.